Hello everyone, welcome to the next video of 8086. Hope you all have followed my first video on 8086 microprocessor, and we will conduct an exclusive class to discuss your doubts. All right, so today we will proceed with the next topic in 8086 microprocessor. Okay, so now I will be sharing with you the PDF of my handwritten notes. So the next topic here, so previously what we have done in the previous video, we have introduced 8086 and we have discussed the basic concepts of how does your processor is involved in executing a particular instruction, right? And at the same time, we have also seen the architecture, brief explanation of architecture of 8086, right? So today's topic will proceed with the registers. Okay, all the registers which are present in 8086, we'll study them in detail. Okay, as we can see here in the CPU registers, the main use of the register is to store the information temporarily, right? It can be either 1 byte or 2 bytes of data which has to be processed, or it can also contain the address of that particular data, right? So all the registers of 8086, they fall into 6 different categories. Okay, all the registers of 8086 fall into 6 different categories. What are those 6 different categories? General purpose register. Okay, you can simultaneously see my notes. Then we have pointer registers, index registers, we have segment registers, and instruction pointer we have, and flag register. Okay, the size of all these different registers is 16-bit. You remember 8086 is a 16-bit processor. All right, when I say this, it means that the registers involved in 8086 are all 16-bit in size, right? So that is the reason why all these 6 different categories of registers are all 16-bit in size. Okay, now firstly we will study about general purpose registers. Okay, what does that mean? They are used for multitasking. All right, they are used for more than one function. All right, so they are called as general purpose registers. They are 16-bit in size basically, and if 8-bit of data has to be stored, all right, the 8, it can be split into two 8-bit size. All right, I'll show you here. Here, as you can see, for example, if I consider one register AX, if I want to make use of a 16-bit data, okay, suppose I want to store a 16-bit data in the AX register. Okay, so the entire 16-bit, the size of this accumulator register is 16-bit, so the entire AX can be used. All right, now if I want to store 8-bit data, we can store 8-bit data in the accumulator register. At that point of time, I can make use of only 8-bit of those of that particular 16-bit register. Okay, I need not engage the entire 16-bit register for that function. I can make use of the first lower byte AL register, that is a part of lower byte of AX register. I can make use of that particular 8-bit size of the AX register, and I can proceed with my function. Okay, here as you can see, AX register 16-bit in size, right? And this is can be split into AL, which is 8-bit in size, and AH, okay, which is again 8-bit in size. Okay, two 8-bit registers make one 16-bit register, general purpose register accumulator. Okay, so this AL is what? Lower byte of the register. AH is higher byte of the register. Which register? Accumulator register. Okay, so the same thing is applied to all the general purpose registers. As you can see here, AX, BX, CX and DX are all 16-bit in size. And AH, AL, BH, BL, CH, CL, DH and DL are all 8-bit in size. Okay. AH, AL are two 8-bit registers of accumulator register, right? So what is this function of this accumulator register? This accumulator register, all right, this can be combined together or it can be split into two 8-bit registers, right? And this is used for all the input output operations, rotate and string manipulation. Okay, so the three generalized functions of accumulator register is it can be used for input output operations, rotate and string operation. Just a moment. So what is the next register? That is the BX register. All right. So the basic function of BX register, it is mainly used as a base register. All right. It holds the starting base location of a memory region within a particular data segment. Okay. It is used as an offset storage for forming a physical address in case of a certain addressing mode. When I say physical address, there are the particular address of any memory location has two parts. Okay, that the mainly the address is called as physical address, and it is having two parts, that is base address and offset address. Okay, it has base address and offset address. For now you remember only this much. We will study how to find out the physical address, and we will study the base addresses and the offset addresses in detail as we proceed with this chapter. Okay, for now, to know the function of the base register, what is base register? That is BX. Okay, the function of this base register is it holds the starting base location of a memory region within a data segment. Okay, it is used as an offset storage for forming a physical address in case of certain addressing mode. Okay, this much for BX register. Now next is CX register. It is used as a default counter, right? It is used as default counter. This we have seen in 8086, 8085 also, right? It is used as a default counter or count register in case of many of the instructions that we have come across, right? Next we have a DX register. DX register, data register. Okay, can be used as a port number in IO operations. All right, first main thing, it can be used as port number in case of IO operations, and implicit operand, implicit operand or destination in case of few instructions. Okay, when we come across few of the instructions, when we study the instructions in detail, there you can notice that the DX register content is used as the implicit operand, right? And the destination is will be the DX register when we execute few of the instructions. Okay, now as and how we come across different instructions and we see programming part, it will be clear. Okay, where and how this DX register is used. Okay. Next, we have segment registers. We'll see the segment registers. The entire, I have been repeating this many times, the entire memory 1 MB is being divided into four different segments. And these different segments have their own starting addresses, and these starting addresses are held in their respective segment registers. Okay. So the starting address of the code segment is held in code segment register, which is 16-bit in size, right? Starting address of DS register, data register is held in data segment register. The starting address of stack segment is held in stack segment register. Similarly, in case of extra segment, right? Right. So there are few other functions of these data segment registers, and we will study that when we come across to that particular instructions. All right. Then here next we have pointers and index registers. Okay. Pointers and index registers. In case of pointers, we have instruction pointer, base pointer, and stack pointer. There are 3 pointer registers: instruction pointer, base pointer, and stack pointer, right? Now here, stack pointer is again 16-bit register pointing to program stack in the stack segment. All right. It is a 16-bit register pointing to program stack in the stack segment. In case of this one, a BP, that is a base pointer, is a 16-bit register pointing to data in the stack segment itself. Okay. BP register is usually used for based, indexed, or register indirect addressing. When I say based addressing mode, based indexed addressing mode, and register indirect addressing, these are all different addressing modes. Okay, all these addressing modes will be again studied in detail. All right. Then we have source index. It is a 16-bit register again, and source index is used for indexed, based indexed, and register indirect addressing. All right. So as well as source data addresses in string manipulation instructions, this is used. Okay. Then next we have, so SP is done, BP is done, right, and SI is done. Next we have DI, destination indexed register. Okay. These topics will be much more clear when we start studying, when we come across instructions and when we start writing the program. All right. So right now you are supposed to know the definitions of all these registers. The destination index, again, it is a 16-bit register. DI is used for indexed, based indexed, and register indirect addressing. Okay. So this is used for string manipulation instructions. Okay. Now we have instruction pointer, IP. Okay. This instruction pointer is used to store the offset address, okay, of a particular uh, memory location, right? So the instruction pointer is used to store the offset address of a particular instruction. Then you have flag register. Flag register is entirely we'll be studying it as a different topic as we go further. Now, for now, you should understand that it is 16-bit in size, and whenever your processor does some operation, okay, it executes certain instruction involving arithmetic operation or maybe a logical operation, then all the respective flags involved in the flag register will be updated. So this we have already seen how the flags, different flags in the flag register are affected after the arithmetic logical operations are being done by a particular processor, right? In 8085, we have seen this. So I hope it is clear till here. If you people have any doubts, we can discuss it in the Zoom class. All right. Okay. Then, yeah, that is what is being discussed. That is what is being shown here. In case of data types, 8 bits or 16 bits, D0 to D7, how do we represent the data? D0 to D7 for 8 bits and D0 to D15. This has to be D15, okay? This has to be D15. D0 to D15 is 16-bit data. Okay. Next, you have, what we'll do is, we'll study the flag register. Okay. Then we will come back to that particular introduction to assembly language programming. Once we are clear with the flag register, we'll come back to that. Now here comes your flag register. Okay. So flag register is a 16-bit register. All right. Let us see. Many AL instructions alter bits of the flag register, and some instructions function differently based on the information in the flag. Based on the information in the flag, it says that the operations affect the flags, and the content of the flag will also affect the processor. All right. So when we say the content of the flag will affect the processor, we generally talk about the interrupts. All right. When a particular flag goes high or goes low, those particular interrupts will be entertained or will be masked, right? The flag register here is a 16-bit register, also referred as status register, right? Although it is 16-bit, although it is 16-bit in wide, 16-bit wide, only some of the bits are used. The rest of the bits of flag register are either undefined or reserved, right? So in 8085 also, though it was 8-bit in size, we have seen that only few flags were active and few spaces were undefined and reserved, right? So similarly in this, the entire 16 bits of the flag register has not been used. Few are being undefined, or we can say they are reserved, right? So 6 of the flags are called conditional flags. What does that mean? They indicate some condition that resulted after instruction was executed. Like we have a carry flag, parity flag, auxiliary flag, zero flag, sign flag, and overflow flag. Okay. Overflow flag is the flag which you are hearing it for the first time in 8086. We did not have overflow flag in 8085, right? So in case of 8086, we have few more flags which were not present in 8085, right? The 3 remaining flags are sometimes called as control flags, right? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. The other 3 flags are called as control flags. So there are 2 types of flags present in 8086. One is conditional flag and the other is control flags. Conditional flags will be updated after, depending upon the result after a particular instruction is executed, right? I hope it is clear to you all. Which are carry flag, parity flag, auxiliary flag, zero flag, sign flag, and overflow flag. Okay. Then we have control flags. Okay. Since they are used to control the operation of the instruction before they are being executed. So there's a difference. You should make out this difference. Control flags will control the instruction, whereas in case of conditional flags, are affected by the output of the instruction. Okay, right? So when you draw the flag register, the sequence has to be the same. Okay, then the functions of each of these flags, we will study it in the next video. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay at home. Take care.